that's the problem with journalists. They have big egos. They tend to show off, and then if you have a press conference, you tend to I have to ask a question, even whether it's important or not, and that's not my style. I listen. That's what a journalist should do. Should listen rather than put out his own opinion or ask people. If they don't talk, then you ask them. But if they talk, why do you bother? Just listen. That was my principle anyway.
Welcome to episode 7. I'm Tanya and you're listening to Janda Becanda. Before I begin, I want to give a special shout out to my listeners out there in the world. I'm so blown away by the far reaches of this podcast with listeners from around the planet, scattering from the US, Europe, Africa, Australia, and all over Asia. Thank you and love you for listening. Many of you have written in on what you'd like to hear more on the show. Email me your comments and suggestions at saya@jandabecanda.com. And if you haven't, please subscribe to our newsletter for latest updates on the show. On Janda Becanda today are 2 senior Indonesian reporters with combined experiences of working for international news agencies and primary Indonesian publications. The episode looks at the importance of role models and mentors, particularly in the early stages of one's career. Our first guest is the esteemed former editor of the Jakarta Globe and news anchor for the Globe's televised Perspective TV show. He was my mentor at the international news agency I worked for, and someone whom I owe a great deal for my on-the-field reporting skills. And not to mention, this guest is the first man on Janda Becanda. Also joining us is a former news reporter for the BBC World Service. She now works for the Global Fishing Watch, leveraging her journalism background to advocate environmentally friendly causes, a subject that is near and dear to her heart. You will hear us reminisce about our reporting days in the late 90s, along with the observation and criticism of how journalism has changed in the last 2 decades. Without further ado, I present to you my friend, Abby Shahab, and our mentor, the illustrious Bhimanto Suwastoyo. These are powerful people in Jakarta, by the way, for those who don't know who they are. They are very much the powerful behind-the-scenes people. And Bim was my mentor in AFP, Agence France-Presse. We were journalists, so Bim was the veteran journalist.
Veteran.
Yeah.
God, I hate that word. I'm still a journalist, I'm not a veteran.
So what is it then? Old and wise? What would you...
A professional journalist.
Experienced.
Right.
Mature.
Right.
Yes.
Good
seasoned,
looking.
handsome.
Suave.
Dermawan.
Yeah, the whole thing, like the whole shutdown.
Best looking.
Yeah.
Now I'm blushing.
It's good that I can
Yeah, because I also learned a lot from him.
Yeah?
Well, when I was in
She was with
AFP.
BBC.
So this is like a AFP
Bim was your
reunion.
mentor too.
Yeah,
Mentor.
absolutely.
So you also oppose the word mentor.
Not so much. I didn't mentor people.
So I think you're being modest about that, about your role as a mentor to Abby and me.
It's nothing altruistic. It's just that so that I work less. The principle is make people work well so that I work less.
Okay, well, he sounds this mean and he was that mean, but...
Well, that's a good tip, though.
Yeah, I delegate a lot. Don't worry, I can still do that.
Are you working together with Bim now?
No. Still right. Sometimes for a news outlet as well. But today I'm representing the Global Fishing Watch as a comms consultant.
Global Fishing Watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are very serious work, everyone that's listening. So. Oh, okay.
Well, I'm only helping them with their communications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is nice. I mean, you guys get to interact on a regular basis, or just today?
More or less. So we're in the same
Facebook.
WhatsApp group, sharing jokes, sharing nonsense almost every day.
Oh my God, that's a little WhatsApp group right there. Yeah. So do you guys get any work done, or like?
Well,
When do I get any work done? It's your job to get work done.
We
God.
just talk about delegation, so
Yeah. I'm just pointing the finger and like, toot toot, do that.
open sesame.
Again, I'm trying to remember your specific skills in terms of relaying how to hone the skills. So I know you teased and joke was saying that you don't teach, that you just boss around. But there was actually a lot of hand-holding in terms of young journalists on how to conduct interviews properly.
Yeah, it's. I like to say that the best way to learn things is by doing and not by giving theories. I learned that way. I'm an architect. I learned from zero journalism, and I had a chance to have a very good mentor who was Kate Webb.
Yes, our mentor.
You knew
Kate,
her?
Yeah, of course.
She was very good because I was a zero in journalism, and she never once made me feel that I was a zero.
Oh,
Yeah?
fantastic.
That's a very good style, and I hope I got that through too.
That's actually a very good point about Kate. She had a way of even editing your work, your
Massacring you, but yes,
yeah.
still managing to make you feel,
Good
that's
about
not so bad.
Yeah. I think that was that skill from being a journalist that helped me today in creating a podcast and interviewing guests and just being interested in other people, particularly.
She's always been interested in other people.
Other people's business.
Kepo.
That's the word.
That's the word. Yeah. So for non-Indonesian speakers, kepo means just a busybody, I guess, like
Nosy body.
a nosy person. I call that an elevated sense of curiosity, but So you worked for BBC Indonesia for how long, Abby?
No, that was BBC World Service.
Oh, BBC World Service, okay. And
I was about a little bit more than a year. I only left because I continued school. But
yeah.
So I'm what's the word? I jumped from one
Boat to
word
the other.
I'm easily bored.
But yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, we don't have to stick to the same profession for the whole time or the same jobs. I mean,
It's more or less in the same area, but my
Right.
passion is in the environment. So
Okay.
I learned about the environment, started writing about the environment, work with environmental organizations, and then remember my passion again as a journalist, become a journalist again, and then you just keep yo-yoing back and forth in those areas.
So, sorry, Global
Fishing Watch.
Fishing Watch. Okay. And you work with them exclusively, or is this one of the non-profits that you work for?
No, just part-time. What they do is monitor illegal fishing, like globally. They have this technology where they can, monitor in almost real time where big fishing boats go. So, I mean, they contribute to some of the big illegal fishing boats catch in Indonesia. The thing is, I work from home because it's mostly an online work. So, the people, even in Jakarta, were spread out. We only meet, once a week, once a month.
Right.
The rest of the time, we work online. All you need is a strong Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but me as well in the beginning it was work from home, and then they said, can you come 2 days, and then it becomes, can you come 3 days, and then I come every day, because at the end of the day, working from home provides you the luxury of being able to do whatever you want at the time you want it, but on the other hand, you don't have the interaction. You're sort of like limited in your home. If you want to talk to somebody, you have to call somebody, or you're not there, and then if you're bored, you cannot talk to anybody. So at the end of the day, I've said okay, I'll go every day, don't worry.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and there
there.
any obligation to stay, but
Right.
for me it's better because you have
like
an
that.
interaction. I like
Yeah.
that interaction.
It helps you for
It
your
helps.
work.
Yeah.
Okay.
It relaxes me at least, at the very least.
To shout at someone in person.
To shout, to play pranks on people. Which I continue to do, don't worry.
Your specialty.
Age hasn't
Well,
diminished that.
that was big in our back in our old office, playing pranks on each other. We actually did some work. We really did work, but there was a lot of playing pranks on each other.
It helps you through the boring
The
news
nitty-gritty.
cycle.
Well, there's also waves of time in the day where there's a lull. News is busy in the morning, then takes sort of a long lunch break. Not because of us.
That was.
Well, that's a normal day, you
That
know,
was
it's-
pre. That was pre-internet days. Not
That's
really
right.
pre-internet, but
That's
pre-handphone, pre-social media, whatever.
So at the time, we didn't have that constant on.
No, the pressure was not that bad. Well, it's an agency. Of course, there's a pressure, but it's not as bad as, for example, when you work now for an online news retail. Oh God, no, thank you.
The competition is just
Competition
crazy.
is cutthroat.
Even the most ideal one looks like
You have to
know,
work really fast. So that costs a lot in terms of quality, in terms of anger, in terms of a lot of things. So I'm not belittling online, but most online now, it's very difficult for me to accept them as a journalism.
Really?
There's a lot of flaws. One of my other jobs, because I juggle between several jobs, is editing.
Okay.
Mostly Indonesian.
Yeah.
I do translation, but I see from the editing, like these people, they can churn out like 2,000 words, 3,000 words on a story that you can actually write for 3,000 words, 300 words or 700 words at the most. You know, 3,000 words for a story. For me, that just shows that. First of all, and some of the story have been pre-edited, and that's even worse because you say like, who's the editor? I don't know.
So the value of good editing has gone out the window, you think, or?
It's hasn't. Well, I'm not generalizing them. There are good editors, but most of the time people are so pressed for time. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to put it out very fast. You have to that you don't become. Not choosy, but you don't think about what is the best angle. Is this really the best angle? Is this enough? Am I representing the whole picture, or am I just presenting partial picture? Those kind of questions doesn't get played again nowadays when you press for time. You know, it's like, cepetan, you have to get out, get the story out. If you have to correct it, we'll correct it. You know, it's the mentality.
Yeah.
They don't put a lot of thought into the story. It's just like, you know, the story comes, data, whatever comes in, you just throw it on the net with whatever thinking you have. That you don't measure, you don't consider the possibility, you don't ask question when you. It's world is going too fast for that now.
Right.
So yeah, online I don't put much trust in it.
So then I guess that's one thing to sort of point out. It's okay not to be good at everything. And,
Oh, certainly.
And then you can ask for help we call that asking for help. Or what you call what you do, which is bossing around, is actually asking for help, someone else's help. Right.
No, it's true. You don't have to be good at everything, but you have to have a knowledge about things. It's not necessarily how it works, but you have to know about it.
Who to delegate.
And who to delegate, of course.
Yes.
But no, that's also one thing that I have noticed among what they call journalists nowadays is they have a very narrow outlook. What is it? Information knowledge. It's very narrow. If you tend to like, you tend to want to specialize in one field, which is wrong. I mean, specializing, do that when you're my age, for example, then you can specialize. But when you're young, you should be generalistic. You should seek to know every single field, you know, and then you can choose from that later.
So you don't mind people having a niche, but so long as there's a context, a general context that they understand where that's coming from.
Yes.
Okay.
You may, I consider it, you may have a hobby.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have to have a general education
I see.
as a background. You should be able to, even when I was working with the Globe, the newspaper, I mean, there's a rotation of the journalists because I don't want them to just stick to one. There's one exception because it was embedded with the police, but the rest rotated. You know, you should be able to write about the environment. You should be able to write about the economy. You should be able to write about the politics. As to whether you like it or not, this is a different kind.
So to summarize, delegate well.
Listen
more, and be interested and curious about different subjects. And you can then specialize once you have that footing in place.
And most of all, be bossy.
Be bossy. I think that's a gift.
Be bossy, be nosy.
Be bossy, be nosy, in a good way. In a good way, and be yourself. And then
always.
You are still with Janda Becanda. I asked Bim, now that his journalism days are behind him, of what fulfills him today. He jumps right into his lifelong love for Indonesian textiles and efforts for its preservation in the modern day context. In addition to the descriptions for Bim, mentor, journalist, activist, he is also a dad, and he lets us in on the challenges of being a single parent to a teen. Where is your passion?
Passion is textile. You know that.
Okay. So textile, but Indonesian ethnic textile.
Indonesian textile.
And then not just any kind of Indonesian ethnic textile.
No,
Eastern.
Not any kind. No.
Not any kind.
Now I had an association that's called Perkumpulan Wastra Indonesia.
Perkumpulan
Wastra Indonesia.
Wastra artinya apa?
Wastra is a textile, is a cloth.
And not just on Eastern Indonesian textile?
No, any Indonesian textile.
Right.
We seek to, it'll be too haughty to say that we're trying to conserve the Indonesian textile tradition, but what we do is try to educate at least the people, especially the younger one, about Indonesian textile, the richness of Indonesian textile, so that the Indonesian saying, tak kenal maka tak sayang, you know, if you don't know it, then you don't love it.
That's right.
That has to be there. I mean, I've seen students, mahasiswa students, university students, who couldn't say whether it's a piece is a batik or a niqab. They just confuse everything. That's not how it should be. We're Indonesian. We should be proud of our heritage. We should know about them.
Right.
And if you don't know about them, how do you expect to love them or have a passion for them?
But actually wearing it.
Lurik.
That's the handsome Bhimanto is wearing his lurik. And so...
I know that all traditional. Do you see it traditional? No, our pockets are here.
Yeah.
Look at the buttons.
Button details. This is... The man lives and breathes all the things that he's passionate about. Anything else? What's next for you?
Nothing. You don't plan.
No? No plan?
No.
Why?
Just flow.
Okay.
At my age, you don't plan. Jeepers.
Do you feel like you've planned too much in your life before, or?
No, it's always been like that. I mean, I'll go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I mean, planning is lots of, how do you call it? Dissatisfaction sometimes. Sometimes you're disappointed. It's better like now. I don't put too much expectation on whatever comes later.
Well, maybe the planning has too much rigidity in that, but I find value in planning out.
Yeah, I'm not belittling planning. You can planning, but for my life, I prefer to go like No. Of course, you have a bigger like aim. You know, you want to be this. Like my aim now is just to live like happy. You know.
Well, you're also a single dad, right? I mean, like, so you have to plan for your kid. I mean, like, that's not something that can be just going
Of course,
with the
that's
flow.
planned.
So yeah, that's a big component in Janda Becanda is about parenthood in general, and about how the lives of parents intertwine with sort of the lives of their children, and planning is a big part of that because it determines where you live. You know.
I know, but it still stick with what I'm saying is planning is for me. Kid is generally, you know, you plan financially, but you have a long-term plan. You don't plan him to do this, whatever. You know, he has to graduate and then he has to go to what school.
Right.
Not for me. If he doesn't want to go to school, fine.
Right. Does your son go to school now? I mean, university. I mean.
He's taking a lap year.
Okay.
Gap year, sorry, not lap year.
Yeah. So he's finished high school and.
He's finished high school.
And then where is he traveling through Europe or traveling Indonesia?
No, he's doing things.
He's doing
in
things.
his rooms. He's a geek. He's basically
good.
a geek. He's a.
This is their era.
Huh?
This is the era of the geeks. This is like.
Mr. Geek Supremo is my son.
Yeah, geeks are king these days.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Okay, so you're a proud dad of geeks. So a geek.
Sort of, yes. Although it also brings out things that now I realize that communication is getting more and more difficult because we don't talk the same language. He talks very techno.
Yeah.
And I'm here, like I said, I'm the
technomoron.
I'm a technomoron. So technomoron and techno whiz, they don't really like communicate, you know. I say so he would ask, so what do you think? I said like, why are you asking me what do I think? Because I don't understand what you're talking about. And it's like, it's simply not.
So maybe coming back to that listening skill again, like coming back, maybe you need to, well, in order for you to be able to listen, I guess you need to understand more of what they're saying.
Yeah, I try to, but sometimes I'm lost. I mean, he talks really, really techno lingo, you know. He says like, do you think that RMX63 is better than AMD2? I was like, wait a minute, let me remember what it was.
I'm trying to relate and understand, but I don't understand. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So we've covered a lot of grounds here: careers, passions, parenting. Again, everything from the viewpoint and lurik. Don't forget, we even discussed that. So everything from fashion to thinking and planning, and living with flow.
I don't know about the thinking bit.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again, Bim.
Okay.
Okay, until the next episode.
Bye, Janda.
Bye. For show notes and more episodes, you can check out our archives on jandabecanda.com. Thank you for listening.